Thank you, sir. I move that the 110th report of the Public Works Committee for the 54th Parliament entitled Mount Barker Primary School Redevelopment Project be noted. Mr Speaker, this is a project, as you would anticipate, very close to my heart. Mount Barker Primary School is located on Dumas Street, Mount Barker, within the District Council of Mount Barker. The Department for Education has advised that the school is the regional centre for students with complex needs and works with the National Disability Insurance Scheme providers to ensure a holistic approach to education is achieved for all students. In 2016, Mount Barker Primary School was allocated $1 million as part of the Science, Technology, Engineering and Mathematics, or STEM program, and thereafter Mount Barker Primary School was allocated $7.5 million as part of the Department for Education's Capital Works program, then announced. The Department for Education has advised that to achieve cost efficiencies and maximise opportunities, both of these budgets were combined to provide a project budget of $8.5 million, less fees than expended. A further $1.5 million was approved in October 2019, resulting in a total project budget of approximately $10 million. And as local member, I was delighted that that project total and budget was made available. The proposed redevelopment of Mount Barker Primary School will include demolition and new works to accommodate up to 440 students on the school site. The project will include the construction of a new two-storey building, which will in turn comprise new administration facilities, including reception offices, staff facilities and amenities, general learning areas, service learning areas and flexible areas for large and small group learning, a new disability unit, including general and service learning areas, flexible spaces for learning, an external learning space and specialist amenities, staff and student amenities including lift access, and the demolition of aged buildings. Construction for the project is expected to commence in October 2020, with completion anticipated for January 2022. The committee examined written and oral evidence in relation to this project and received assurances that the appropriate consultation had been undertaken. The committee is satisfied that the proposal has been subject to the appropriate agency consultation and does meet the criteria for the examination of projects described in the Parliamentary Committees Act. Based on the evidence considered and pursuant to Section 12C of the Parliamentary Committees Act 1991, the Public Works Committee does report to Parliament that recommends the scope of the works that I've outlined to the House.
The Minister for Education.
Well, look, I thank you, sir, and I'm pleased to be able to rise to assist in the debate and the noting of the Mount Barker Primary School's Capital Works project and the corresponding report prepared for and supported by the Public Works Committee. I thank the Public Works Committee, chaired by the member for Carville, for that important work in the process to ensure that as we deliver $1.4 billion worth of new infrastructure in our public school system in South Australia, that scrutiny process ensures that the people of South Australia get best possible bang for their buck, and that the students and the school communities that are supported by this building project get indeed the best possible projects. And I'm certain, sir, that as the Public Works Committee has been going through that extraordinary body of work, dozens and dozens and dozens of projects already passed through and supported by Public Works Committee, with more than 100 in total to come, including those to come, there would have been few projects that would have attracted the laser-like focus and vision of the member for Carville and the chair of that committee, as did the Mount Barker Primary School project, which now has a budget, given the extra expenditure committed by this government to ensure that the scope of works that are necessary at that school are able to be completed, of in excess of $10 million. Currently, there are 382 students at Mount Barker Primary School, and they benefit from a world-class education with great teachers. But it's fair to say that the facilities for some time have not been what those students all need. They have not been those that support the delivery of the curriculum in the way that we deliver it now. There is also, of course, a significant population growth in Mount Barker, significant population growth across the whole township, and including, obviously, the areas serviced by the Mount Barker Primary School itself. We're endeavouring for the student capacity at that school next year, when this project is complete, to be lifted to the order of 440 students. And even with the move of Year 7 going into high school, and of course there are corresponding capital works at the Mount Barker High School that will support that lift in student population, we do anticipate this being a school, along with the other schools in Mount Barker, that will continue to grow. I'd commend Principal Joanne Simpson for her leadership of the school, including on this project. There is, of course, one other project that's benefiting the teaching of students at Mount Barker Primary School through the provision of new infrastructure, and that has been, of course, in 2019, when Mount Barker Primary School joined, along with all the other public schools in the state, in November 2019, in having world-class internet connections, a fibre optic cable connection directly to the school as part of the Marshall Liberal Government's $80 million infrastructure project to lift those internet speeds, and that's assisted the teaching and learning at the school. This building project, designed by architect Wiltshire Swain and builder FDC Construction and Fit Out, is indeed now underway, and we're looking forward to that project being completed, as the member for Carville said, due to be completed by early next year. Currently, pleased to report to the House that last information I have, it's on track to be completed early in December this year. Of course, there's been some publicity about a couple of projects where unfortunately there have been slippages, whether through conditions, latent conditions, challenges with structural steels, unfortunate situation when they closed, leaving a couple of our schools in a difficult situation. We're also pleased, of course, that many of the school projects are indeed running substantially ahead of schedule, and Mount Barker Primary School at the moment has that December completion date. But of course, we do have challenges when there are lockdowns. Hopefully there will not be any more lockdowns in South Australia, but that's always a possibility. Certainly so, the confidence I have is that we are on track at the moment for this project to be complete well and truly in advance and ready for the school year in 2022. It's a substantial project, a new building comprising general learning areas and service learning areas focused on STEM, a new disability unit with a range of learning areas, administration of facilities, building amenities, a new landscaped courtyard for open play and circulation, and of course the demolition of some of that ageing facilities that are no longer fit for practice, suitable for purpose, or appropriate for use in a school. I'm really excited about this project. I know the member for Carville is too. I commend him for his engagement with his local schools. I can assure the school community at Mount Barker Primary School and all of the other schools in Mount Barker that the member for Carville is the sort of member who every time he visits a school or a preschool community and engages in that community, the next day he's on the phone to the minister to share what he has learned, to share whatever their views are. And so certainly the enthusiasm of that community for education is really welcomed, and the enthusiasm of their local Member of Parliament for this project is very much valued.
The member for Carville speaks. He closes debate. The member for Carville.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. This is a very important and significant project for my community, one that's deeply valued by my community and by me, and I'm very grateful to the Minister for his close involvement in not just this project, but other projects across the Adelaide Hills. It's right to say, as the Minister has emphasised, that the Adelaide Hills, not just Mount Barker, has many growing communities. In fact, it is important to emphasise in this place that communities outside of Mount Barker are growing in some places at similar rates. It's an attractive place to live. It's an attractive place to raise a family. It's an important place for education. It will continue to be so, and the school will continue to be absolutely essential to the wider Adelaide Hills community. It's important for me to put on record here how grateful I am to Jo Simpson, her staff, the School Governing Council, and all of the school community, including parents and students. They've been working through a construction site. It's not necessarily been easy in those circumstances. There's been the need to remove building materials from the school and introduce new materials, and of course what is proposed at Mount Barker Primary will see the construction of a second storey. It's a very beautiful site within the township. It is a site that I know many residents of Mount Barker are very fond of, and of course many have a close connection to the school, not just through their families, but in many cases because they were educated there as well. So I'm delighted to see this project complete, or will be delighted to see this project complete. I understand that it is reasonably on track, and I'm very grateful to the architects Wiltshire Swain and of course to the builders for accommodating what is a reasonably confined site in particular places. On one side of the site the school oval and so on, but on the other side of the site, within the existing township, it's a reasonably constrained site. They've done an excellent job seeing through a design for this location that will ensure that the site remains accessible and incredibly useful and well loved into the future. It's also right to say, Mr. Speaker, as I have earlier said in this place, that the Minister has seen through a most remarkable capital works program in this state. It's an enormous body of work that he's presided over, and I know that every single member is particularly grateful on behalf of their community, but also I know in the quietness of the hearts of every member is a deep love and affection for local schools and an appreciation of the importance of education. And I know firsthand that the Minister's had an extraordinary workload. That hasn't been apparent, of course, but it is clear from the number of reports coming to my committee that there has been an extraordinary workload. He's seen through that work with good humour and excellence, and I'm appreciative of that too.
Order. The question before the House is that the 110th report of the Public Works Committee entitled Mount Barker Primary School Redevelopment Project be noted. Is it seconded? Yes, sir. Put the question. Those in the opinion say aye. Against say no.